All right. Hi and welcome, everyone. I am your host, Professor Tuck, and this is Privacy Tuesday. And I want to say hi and welcome. I finally fixed the camera. As you can see, I'm coming to you from the great state of Missouri. So, no longer coming from the high desert of Arizona. I have, for those of you that are always wondering where's Tuck, now you know where Tuck is. He is in Missouri. And today, what we're going to be talking about is why everything sounds like a pyramid scheme, or just the fact that so many things in society are being labeled as scams, and some things are good opportunities and some things really are scams. But the thing is this plays into not only your opportunities, but sows disinformation, because there are people that just lack the basic understanding of what's going on, and by lacking that basic understanding, they're mislabeling something, and therefore they're causing themselves and those around them harm. So, welcome to Privacy Tuesday, where we strip away fear, the hype, and the propaganda. And today we're going to talk about scams, not just the obvious ones: fake IRS calls, phishing emails, or some guy in your DMs promising crypto riches. Now we're talking about the gray zone, the borderline stuff, things that feel like scams but maybe aren't. The business models people love to hate, which is multi-level marketing, affiliate programs, high ticket sales, drop shipping, copywriting gigs, work from home offers, anything that isn't a W-2 job with a cubicle and a manager burning down your neck or breathing down your neck. And people look at it sideways. And honestly, that's by design. We've been conditioned to equate stability with legitimacy. If it doesn't come with a 401k, a dress code, a fake smile, it must be a scam, right? That's the script we've been fed for a long time. But here's the uncomfortable truth: a lot of the stuff that you might say is scammy or scammy sounding things are just as legit as the system that taught you to work 40 hours a week for 40 years and retire on 40% of your income, which, let's be real, doesn't even work anymore. So, now to be clear, there are real scams out there. If it requires you to put up money with no transparency, or if it's selling hope instead of a product, or if you can't find any independent success stories, yeah, red flags. But not being traditional doesn't make something a scam. Take MLMs, for example. Are some of them shady? Sure. But the model itself, referral based commissions and team overrides, that's exactly how corporate sales structures work. Same with affiliate marketing. Same with real estate brokerages. Hell, your average tech startup operates more like a cult than most MLMs do. But no one calls that a scam because it's dressed up in Silicon Valley branding and buzzwords. Today's episode is about discernment, about reclaiming your ability to judge risk versus reward without defaulting to fear. If you're trying to build something off grid, create digital income, or escape the system, you're going to be exposed to weird sounding offers. Some are bad, some are brilliant. And if you can't tell the difference, you're either get burned or miss an opportunity that could have changed your life. So today we're going to break down how to evaluate business models, how to spot manipulation versus motivation, and how to stop confusing unfamiliar with unethical, because the modern economy doesn't look like a factory floor anymore. It looks like a Discord server, a landing page, a mobile payment link. And if you don't get that yet, you're already behind. And so, this is for those of you that are here for Privacy Tuesday. I want to say welcome. If you would like to be able to participate in chat, you need to become a member of the YouTube membership, which is Podcast Lovers. It's $2.99 a month, and you can chat along with us here. If you would like to be able to have a chat with me in the either the after party or the green room before the broadcast, there's a group of us that are already in there. You come over, you become a member of Patreon. It starts at $5 a month, and you can join the green room, and then you can join the after party and have more of a closer connection with me. And this is better if you're looking for more behind the scenes type stuff. This is something that it'll be a lot more, a lot better behind the scenes. But let's talk about MLMs, because I have been in a lot of different MLMs, and one of the number one things you hear is, "Oh, it's a pyramid scheme," or "Ah, it's a hustle," and stuff like that. There's an important history, and if you're going to get into them, because like my mom got into one, and that's really what got me into understanding MLM. So she was in something called Excel Communications. Back then, if you went through Sprint for long distance, you were paying anywhere from 25 cents to $1 a minute for long distance calls. Well, as under the Clinton administration, they started deregulating telecom. What ended up happening is you had this company called Excel Communications that popped up, and they started selling uh, calling cards at 3 cents a minute, and even international calling cards at 10 cents a minute. And then you started seeing the large companies like Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, those guys. You started seeing them start to scale back the way that they charge for long distance. Why? Because competition made it to where they were actually losing money. This is one of the few times in which like an MLM will benefit society, because the reason why you have free long distance and unlimited minutes has to do with how Excel Communications set up its business model. You also have there was a company that I got into. It's actually how I got my insurance license. I ended up working for a company called Primerica. Primerica lives by the philosophy of buy term, invest a difference. So it's more for people that are young. You don't sit there and talk to people that are over 40, because they're probably not in the right space to be able to do something like that. And so, you're talking to young 20 somethings, new family, and normally you would go and you would buy like $100,000 worth of whole life insurance. It costs you 250 bucks. But because you're young and healthy, you could get a 10 or 20-year term for 40 bucks a month, therefore giving you like $210 a month of free money to be able to work with. So by buying term and invest the difference, you take that $210 and now you invest it into a mutual fund. Back then, that was a big thing: mutual funds and annuities. And plus, with my license, those were things that I could actually sell, which is why we talked about those. Okay, so it was a buy term and invest the difference. But the thing was, is you got an opportunity to, in a lot of ways, you're franchising. When you go into like an MLM or anything else like that, you're franchising. Just like you go and buy a McDonald's franchise, usually you have to have a couple $1 million and be able to buy the rights to the land, pay for the building to be built, pay for the staff to be done. You have to do all of that, and then the head company, such as McDonald's, gets to tell you what you can sell, how much you can sell it at, what you have to order, what you have to pay your employees, what benefits you have to offer. So you become nothing more than a glorified employee. Well, the same thing works, when you're doing something like an MLM. At first, you're going to start out and you might be selling product. Now, you might like your product. So, like my cleaning products was through an MLM called DoTerra. And with DoTerra, what you would do is you would sit back and you would purchase their product. So I got their cleaning agents because I used it for my business. I used some certain things for me because they helped me out. We also did aromatherapy, bath bombs, kind of got a little bit creative with it. But I essentially bought into it, spent $45 for the distributorship so that I could get discounts. Plus, when I hit certain price points, I would get free products and stuff like that. So if you hit $100 a month, then, or 100 points, then you would get a free bottle of oil, and each month the bottle of oil was different whenever you did your renewal. And a lot of it was they gave you back what it was that you were spending, but you also got discounts. So instead of buying my cleaning agent at 20 bucks, I bought my cleaning agent at 15 bucks. So therefore it saved me, plus I also got all kinds of other perks and benefits. Now I talked to a friend, my friend likes what it is that I do. Well, they want to be able to sit back and take advantage of the discount themselves. So therefore, they get a distributorship. So now because you referred them, they get a distributorship so that they can get that discount. Now you're going to get a referral commission, if you'd like to call it that, but you're going to get a commission or an override. Just like if I were to go to a sales organization. So when I sold Kirby's, when I first started out, my price on a Kirby, so they were $18.59. My price was $14.59. My manager's price was $12.59, and the distributor's price was $8.99. Okay, so when I went and I sold that thing for anything over $1,459, I got to keep that. Then my manager got an override, and then the owner got an override. And I worked on 100% commission, so it was in my best interest to be able to make as much money and sell it for 800 or $1,859. Okay, so MLMs work the same way, but instead of going and getting under the umbrella and being in sales, you're more about relationships. The reason why MLMs work for some people and they don't work for others is it has to do with your warm market and their attitude. Do they like you? Do they know you? Do they trust you? Are they always interested in things? Are you the type of person that's always saying, yeah, I found a deal over here and I found a deal over here and so on and so forth? Are you that type of person, or are you the type of person that might share it with people, but you're in it for the discount? Now, there are different reasons why you go into these things, and all of this started because MLMs was a new thing, but Amway was one of the first ones to start, and their competitors actually got taken down for being Ponzi schemes and for other ethical violations. And so the government had to figure out how to regulate it, how to figure out what is an okay business model, and that's where Amway comes in. And so Amway actually has created the most amount of millionaires in out of any MLM. They've got military personnel that used to sit there and buy stock for the military and getting their discount and then getting their commission override, and became pearl level members and multimillionaires because, well, they just used their position. It saved the government money. They were able to get the supply, so nobody cared. And he was able to requisition whatever it was that they needed. And so therefore, that even military personnel were able to get very wealthy. There's a lot of military personnel that got very wealthy from doing that. And so what the government did is they looked at the way Amway structure was. Here's the big things. If somebody's going to pay for your membership to join, that is an ethical violation. Okay. For you to join, or to even think about joining an MLM, you have to look at the product. Do you believe in the product? See, I didn't believe in Tahitian Noni. I didn't believe in Excel Communications. I got to see it like later on, but I didn't believe in it. I didn't even believe in a lot of the other ones that I did. But the one that I did believe in happened to be essential oils. So for me, if I was going to go do an MLM because I like it, I believe in it, I know a lot about it. I've experienced my own personal effects. I understand that some people it works for, some people it doesn't. I'm able to notice that. So therefore, that would be if I was looking to get into an MLM, if I was looking to franchise without the high out-of-pocket costs that you would pay through something like McDonald's or Burger King or Petco or any of these other companies, because in the right around the time of the great financial crash, there started becoming headlines as that MLMs are going to be the business model of the future, and it hasn't taken a lot of steam, but there are a lot of people that do it. Why? Because you're going to need the ability to make money and to be able to not only do it within your own warm market, but to be able to support yourself. And so a lot of people, because of the high costs and high barriers to get into a lot of businesses, unless you get into something that's unregulated or that has low regulation, which is very hard. There's like maybe 3 industries in the whole country that are unregulated. It's house cleaning, basic landscaping. So as long as you're not doing anything with plants, but if you're mowing yards and stuff like that, and I forget what the third one is, but if you start doing plants, you gotta get certain certifications. If you start doing trees, you got to get certain certifications. But if you're doing basic entry level stuff, there is very little barrier to entry. Whereas if you start going into more skilled fields, you may have high compliance costs. You may also have high startup costs, high certifications and licensing costs, high insurance costs. It becomes something that is extremely bothersome for you. And this is something where an MLM kind of takes that, because they get the clout of being a large Fortune 500 company, or at least having the status of that because of all the people and all the products that they have underneath them. Whereas their administrative stuff, their compliance stuff, it's all handled at a corporate level. So now it gives you the opportunity to enter into a business without actually, worrying about whether or not you can, whether or not you're going to have to deal with high startup costs. Okay, so that is, MLMs are just one of them, but there are things that people say, like especially when you get into sales and when you get into stuff. Sales is where like all the high income earners in the world They are like 90% of those people are in sales in some form or fashion. Sales is where all of the money is made, because without a sales force, without a successful sales force that is incentivized, that means you're getting bonuses, you're getting overrides, you're getting residuals, you're getting company trips, you're getting swag, you're getting public recognition, all of that stuff. Like, if you want to be treated like a really high class, high quality human being, and to go into a place where you're valued because you're able to, and you're not valued because you're a human being, you're valued because you can produce. You can go in there and you can sell whatever it is you need to sell, and you're always competing for the top position or top dog as far as moneymaker. And then at that point in time, it doesn't matter. You could come in drunk and nobody would care, because the nobody cares about who you are. They care about what you produce. And if you really want a job and an industry or something that is based upon merit, that is probably the number one place that can never be touched, is a sales organization or a sales job. For example, right now, because you guys know that I'm in Missouri and I may end up staying here for quite a while longer than the 30 days I anticipated. And because of that, that means I need to go out and I need to get a job. Well, I have a lot of sales background, business ownership, public speaking. So I can go out there and I can go get me a sales job. I today went and did an interview to be able to sit back. And so what are they doing? They're having me do life insurance, and while doing the life insurance, I got to go get my certifications and stuff like that. But I have the ability to make commission off of everything that I sell, so I get to do my regular job, and I'm making, from what it sounds like, is it's straight commission. So if you're successful, you'll make money. If you're not successful, you'll be poor and you'll stay. And so that's how you weed out the strong from the weak, especially when it comes to really seeing what you're made of. Is if you want to see like how strong you are, how resilient you are, go do a sales job that requires 100% commission, and you have to go out there and hustle up your work every single day. Otherwise, you don't eat, you don't sleep, and you don't have your basic comforts like a glass of Coke. Mm. Okay. So the whole payment structure there is, if I do so many sales, they're going to give me this. They're going to give me so much per sale that I make. Plus, they're going to give me a bonus because I met their criteria. Plus, they're also going to, over time, I'm going to be able to get residuals and overrides and all kinds of other stuff. Now, to the average person, they would say that sounds kind of like a scam. It's a scam because now they want you to go get a certification before you come to work with them. Now they want to be able to pay you this if you do this, but not if you do that, and then you won't get paid. Who's to say that these people are even going to be honest? And in reality, this is the way a sales job works. When you go to do sales, it's one of those, you always get paid, because your sales force gets paid before anybody else. Because in order for you to get that $10,000 contract, you got to pay me a $2,000 commission. And then therefore your employees get the other, and your overhead get the other 6,000. You get the 2,000, and then every time you renew that contract, and every month that you have that contract after that, you get to keep the profit. So it is in your best interest, if you want me to be productive and keep bringing you new business to keep your company afloat, that you pay me first. And that's the great thing about being in sales. So worrying about getting paid is at the bottom of my list. I'm more worried about theft, because salesmen, especially desperate salesmen that are weak salesmen, will try and steal your sales. It's because of the nature of the business. You're going to be a big thrill seeker. So if you're not able to go to topless bars, and you're not willing to do a bump on a hooker's off of a hooker's ass, well, then that probably isn't your type of your type of place to go. But this is essentially, for those of you that are wondering, it's like, should I decide if this is a scam, or is it not a scam? The thing is, you've got to really look at, you've got to know the industry in which you're being talked to. You could always get those emails. Oh yeah, you're the crown prince says you're an heir. Come on, we all know that that's a scam. Okay, but if you got somebody coming in and saying, yes, I want you to be an insurance agent, I'm going to go ahead and pay your fees, and and you have no skin in the game in some of those things. Now there are some that will be like, okay, yeah, you show up in a suit and tie, we'll give you a box of shit to go sell, and then you got to go peddle business to business. I've done that. That was actually quite fun. I learned how to haggle there, because when you're in San Francisco and you're dealing with a bunch of dealing with the Asian community. They never pay full price for anything, and if you're not smart at negotiating, you'll walk away being like, "Fuck, I just paid them." You know, it's happened to me a couple of times. Is how I got good at haggling, and I started realizing that it was a game. That was the only reason why I was able to keep going. But it was fun. It was something that I enjoyed. But for the most part, the if you're getting something for nothing, especially like high end, like they come and they say, well, you're gonna make this much money, da 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 da. Well, the thing is usually when they offer high amounts of money, it's strictly commission. And when it's strictly commission, you got to sit back and ask yourself a simple question: am I willing, and do I have enough confidence in myself to do that, and to survive on my own wits and my own ability to be able to do these types of things? That's really where it comes down to. So there's a lot of things that you may think that are scams, but I think that really, we have been taught that anything that sits outside of what it is that we do as the normal day to day. Because here's the thing: as the world goes along, as the world goes, there's going to be more and more digital jobs coming out. Is Fiverr a scam? No, it's not. Some people try something, but they're too lazy, and then they call it a scam. If you're going to do, excuse me, anything, like let's say you do an MLM, your MLM, what is that going to require from you? Like, you can't just sit there and go, okay, I'm a distributor. Where's my millions of dollars? Because that's what I hated most about doing recruiting, is you've got these people that think that just because they give money that they're now rich and they get to go out there and blow everything that they have. And the average mentality of the individual, you just kind of sit there, and then those are the people that walk away, make no money, and call it a scam to all of their friends. So uh, in reality, you're gonna have some sort of skin in the game for this. But uh, you've got to look at it from a standpoint of, you, in order to do some of the stuff that may sound too good to be true. It may be because you're used to being told what time to show up, what time to clock out, what time to take a break, what time you can take a shit, when it's okay to smile, when it's okay to have an emotion, what's okay to say, what's not okay to say, what you can have on your social media, what you can't have on your social media, and stuff like that. You're used to people telling you those things. And when people tell you those things, what ends up happening is you lose your ability to act autonomously. By being in sales, being self-employed, whether it be, doing a startup like I've done, doing a franchise like I've considered doing, or even doing MLMs like I have done, they all require the same type of mentality. There is a lot of money to be had, but it requires work. What it requires is understanding not only your product, but who you can actually market that to. Just because you think it's great, fantastic, and wonderful doesn't mean everybody else does. Are you willing to sit back and just use the product yourself without ever making any money off of it, just by getting the discount by getting a distributorship? If you're willing to do that, then it may be a good thing for you. But as you go out and you talk, because they put a lot of restrictions on how you're able to advertise. I know even with doTERRA, I can't put them on social media unless I'm just talking about them in passing, because they don't want to deal with any negative publicity, because they have a marketing and a brand, and what you're doing is buying into that brand, you're franchising into it. So they're going to be very restrictive on the way in which you market and you advertise. So you have to understand, like, when my mom did Herbalife, she did parties. This is something that's very common even in doTERRA and other MLMs. What they'll do is they'll go out and they'll find people that seem like that they're interested in learning more about a product or a solution to their problem, and then they'll hold like a sample party where they bring people over and they show them like what the product is, how to use it, what makes the product good. They'll do it. They'll say, hey, if you wanna buy some, I've got some in my storeroom. If you would like to, turn this into your own business model, you have the ability. We can sit back and talk further. But that's generally how you're going to be prospecting. So you're going to be going out on social media. You're going to be talking to different people. You're going to be interacting with them and finding those that are interested. So in reality, you become a relationship builder because you're going to be building relationships with people within your community, within people that are going to be interested in your product. And therefore, that is how you're building your clientele. It is the same as a business. But instead of having to go out there and get your own cell towers and design your own cell phone, or go out there and do your own essential oils, or go out there and build your own independent insurance brokerage. They provide all of that framework for you as long as you're willing to plug in and follow their system. You get more than you would if you were an employee, but less than you would if you were the actual owner. That's what franchising is. And for a lot of people, especially if you want to start a business or even get a side hustle without having to worry about all of the different startups and stuff like that, that is something that you do because they've already got the marketing plan in place if you plug into it. You've got to be a self-starter, self-motivated, and willing to go forward and do all of this. So for those of you that are watching, I want to open up the floor for those of you that have questions, even those of you that are over in the green room, kind of give you guys an idea of of what's going on here. I mean, I think that this is something that so many people, especially with brick and mortar jobs going away, you're going to see a lot more MLMs popping up. You're probably going to even see a lot more uh, you're going to probably even see a lot more companies going to that model because with everything that can be manufactured and distributed out of a warehouse, you no longer need storefronts. So therefore, you need brand ambassadors. And that's essentially what they were talking about MLMs morphing into over the time. You find just like you invest in what it is that you use, you also sell what it is that you use because it's something that allows you an opportunity to make money off of something that you already know, like, and trust. And if you know, like, and trust it that well, then you'll have no problem getting other people to buy into it. The reason why most people fail, other than lack of drive and work ethic and the ability to become a self starter, is that is that they pick the wrong product. They're picking the product based upon money and commission and being sold a dream. And I think that this is where a lot of people either throw up their barriers or buy into the wrong things, is because they stop taking a realistic dream. I will tell you, when I first started Primerica, which is an insurance MLM, when I first started with Primerica, I was one of the main guys was not doing presentations, and they said, well, because I was known to be rough around the edges, but they're like, okay, we'll give you a chance, let you go in. I went in, and I'm talking to a bunch of young 20 somethings, and I'm telling them the legitimate plan of what it is, and I'm educating them based upon everything. Because even when I went through their sales presentation, the one thing that irritated me is that they were more focused on the money than the system that I was buying into. And if I was going to go into the system, I need to understand the system, not the money. And that's where a lot of these MLMs kind of that's what they teach their people, because uh, there's a lot of reasons, some good, some bad, but they teach you more about the money. And it cannot be about the money if you're going to go into it with a good head on your shoulders. That's why when I started doing presentations, I did that and I fell flat on my face because people didn't actually really want to work. They wanted to buy into an illusion, into a dream, and stuff like that. So one of the kids pulled me aside and he says, the reason why you're not doing it is because it's a Jerry Maguire moment. Show me the money. And if you ain't showing them the money, they don't want anything to do with it because they're looking to own their own desert island before they're 25. And it's like, okay. And so therefore I went and I changed my presentation, and I'm like, here's the money. Here's all the money you can make. Money, 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 because nobody else cared about what it was that they were doing. If you're actually going to do something like this, you should actually understand the system in which you are choosing to participate in and understanding your ability to function with it. Now, for something like me with doTERRA, I'm not looking to expand on it because I don't want to do the social media marketing or anything else like that. But when I owned my cleaning business, I offered it to my customers. I'd sell 2 or 3 bottles a month, and it would work just fine because it just added to my order total because I needed to make $100 a month payment, or so that I could get free swag because I did it for that. I mean, otherwise my order would have been about 30 or $40 a month. But I wanted to hit certain points, so I made sure to do something like that. Um, for some people, you may decide you don't want to do that. When I did Primerica, I basically showed my whole crew how to go drum up cold market business because most of them didn't even have a warm market that they could even tap into. So it's like, how do you go out there and you tap into it? And so that was something that I enjoyed because I was able to go to an office. I was able to have the interactions. I was still in an MLM, but it was more of a structured MLM that fit me, my style, the way I like to work. And as long as I could show up to an office, I knew I wasn't ever going to get distracted. Okay, so when it comes to dealing with things like this, I want you to be fully aware of what it is that you're getting into. It is not a scam. They're not trying to hustle you. If you are stupid enough to sit there and hang on the money without looking at the model, well, then you deserve what you get. So since we have no questions, we've hit that 30-minute mark. If you guys want to support the broadcast, come on over to hobotuck.com. I actually have a support page. This is how we keep it going. Anyways, guys, I want to say thank you for being here. And for those of you that are in the green room, hold tight for just a minute while I end this, and then we will start the after party. Okay, guys.